Be recorded.
So in the previous session, we have discussed about SOQL queries, and we have discussed what exactly static SOQL queries and what exactly dynamic SOQL, and how to prepare static SOQL queries and what is the syntax we used to follow, how to invoke them. Once a query has been invoked, then how it is going to be returning the results, and once the results has been returned, how can we catch, how to store. If the query returns only one record as a result, how to store the result we have discussed. If the query returns multiple records as a result, how can we store we have discussed. And then we have discussed about dynamic SOQL query, how to prepare dynamic SOQL query and how can we execute manually. Once a query has been executed, how can we catch the results, how to store them in the form of a collection we have discussed in the previous session. Now, so in today's session, we are going to discuss about the practical use cases. How to use these SOQL queries, we'll see with the practical. Upon writing these SOQL queries, first we'll go with the static SOQL. How to prepare this static SOQL query, how to execute, how to catch the results, how to represent on the debug log file. Now here in this case, upon writing these SOQL queries in the real-time implementations, we have three different styles are available. We have three different styles. And what are those three different styles? How to write them? How to execute the SOQL query? How to catch the results? Okay, we'll see one by one with the practical use cases. Okay, now. So let's take a small use case. Now, now my requirement is I would like to write an Apex program to collect all the account records. Inside my account object, whatever the account records are available, I want to collect all the account records. I would like to represent them on the debug log file. I want to represent these records on the debug log file. That is my requirement. So how can we write a SOQL query? Now let's see. Okay. Now write an Apex program to fetch all the account records and represent on the debug log file. I want to write an Apex program which will collect all the account records from the account object, and those records we can represent on the debug log file. Then how can we write this? Now let me show you with practical. I'm going to my Salesforce arc and I will create an Apex class. I will prepare a method. Inside the method, I will write the business logic. Now let me go to the developer console. And inside this developer console, I would like to prepare an Apex class. I'm preparing an Apex class. I'm giving the class name as database helper. I'm giving the class name as database helper. Inside this class, I'm preparing a method which is used to collect all the account records from the object. I'm preparing a method public static void get all accounts. So I have prepared an Apex class. Inside the class, I have prepared a method with the name get all accounts. So now in this method, I'm going to write the business logic to query all the account records from the object. Those records I would like to represent on my debug log file. Then how can we write this business logic? Now let's see. Now I would like to prepare an SOQL query which will collect all the account records from the account object and we can able to represent them on the debug log file. Then what needs to be done? First of all, write the SOQL query. This query I would like to make it as static. How can we do that? Square braces. That means write this SOQL query inside that square braces. Whenever we are enclosing the SOQL query in the square braces, then it will be called as static SOQL. Okay, now. So now once the query has been prepared here, now do I need to execute this SOQL query manually? No. Static SOQL query will execute automatically by default. Once this query has been executed, how many records it will return? How do you know one record? Hmm. Right. In this case, we are not giving any condition to return only one record. Now, we are going to just writing the query. Depends upon the number of records available in your account object, all the records it will collect automatically. Suppose in my account object, if I'm having 20 records, it will collect all the 20 records. Now, in this case, now tell me here, if the query returns multiple records as a result, how to store? Hmm. List collection. Now, list of what? Account. Why list of account? Right, we are getting the data
Yeah.
from account object. So that we have to store that result in the form of list of account. Okay, now let's see. Now I would like to write this query here. I'm writing this query. Select ID of the account, name, rating, industry, annual revenue, phone, and the facts. We can split the query to multiple lines also, no problem. Customer priority, active status from account. Now this is the query which I have prepared. Now this query will return multiple records so that I'm storing them in the form of list collection. List of account. Okay, LST accounts. That's it. Now I'm preparing an SOQL query. Now the query is going to be returning some records in the form of list collection. To hold those records, I'm defining a list collection with the name LST accounts. So whatever the records has been written by my SOQL query, those records will store inside my collection. Now, now tell me, how do you know how many records query has returned?
Size.
Hmm. How to
Size.
check how many records has been written by the SOQL query? Size method. Right.
Size method.
Because here, so now here in this case, whatever the records written by this SOQL query, each record will be storing in the form of an element in this list collection. Because the complete record is nothing but my element. So how many elements are available in the collection? How can we check? Size method. So the size is indicating how many number of records written by your SOQL query. Now I would like to print the collection size. System.debug number of records written. LST accounts dot size. I'm representing how many number of records written by SOQL query. Now what I want to do, I want to iterate this collection from starting to ending. I will collect each and every record I want to show. So now here before iterating that, I would like to check whether the collection is empty or not. If the collection is empty, no need to iterate. Directly we can able to show the message to the people. Suppose if the collection is empty, I can show some message to the people. So for that reason, I would like to check whether the collection is empty or not. So I'm indicating if LST accounts is not empty. That means if the collection is not empty, that means there are some records available in the collection. Now I would like to collect each and every record from the collection. I'm using the for loop. I'm giving the column. Here I'm giving this collection name LST accounts. I'm collecting each and every record from the collection here. Now every element will be of type what? This collection is holding elements of type what? Account type. So we have to define a variable. ACC record. Okay. For each and every account record from this collection. Now I would like to represent each and every record value on the debug log file. Understood the concept here? Now, whatever the records written by this SOQL query, I'm going to be storing all these records in the form of a list collection. Then I'm representing the collection size, how many records written by the query. Then I'm checking that if the collection is not empty, that means there are some records are available. Then I would like to iterate the collection from starting to ending. So now I'm passing this collection name to my enhanced for loop. It will iterate the collection. It will collect each and every element. Every element is nothing but one account record because this is list of account. So I'm defining one variable. So it will collect each and every account record. It will store into the variable. From there, we can collect each and every field value we can represent. Okay. Now, system.debug account record ID is UCC record.id. I want to show the name. I'm representing the industry. I'm representing annual revenue. Customer priority. Active status. I would like to represent contact number. That's it. Whatever the values you want to show on the debug log file, you can print. Okay. Now, so now this is the functionality that what we are doing here. We are preparing an SOQL query. Once the query has been getting prepared, store the records inside the collection and then pass the collection to the enhancer for loop. It will iterate the collection from starting to ending, collect each and every record, store into your reference variable, and then we can access each and every field value and we can represent onto the debug log file. Clear? Now. Now here I would like to give a line break. That means suppose if I'm having 20 records are there, first record it will show, then say immediately second record, then immediately third record. I want to give a line break here. So that I'm using system.debug. I'm giving a line break. For my easy identification, I'm giving a line break here so that to indicate this is the ending of the record. From here, next record will get start. Clear? Now, so now once the class has been getting prepared, now my class code has been saved. Before executing the method, please make sure that your class code should be saved. Okay? Hmm. If you're not saving that code, when you try to execute the method, it will show the error message, method does not exist or incorrect signature method. Okay? Now I would like to call this method. How to call this method now? Hmm. Class name dot method name. Why class name dot method name? Why not the object name dot method name? Why we are not creating the object of this class? Because this is a static method, right? Static method doesn't expect any object creation. Directly we can access them by using class name dot method name. Okay. Now I'm invoking this method. Database helper dot. I'm invoking the method with the name get all accounts. Now click on execute. My request has been sent to the server. Go to the debug log file, select the debug only. Now it is indicating that number of records written. Total how many records it has written here? 31 records. This is the first record details. First record ID, name, industry, annual revenue, phone, and the priority and the active status. Then a line break. Then second record. And then line break. And then third record. And then line break. Like that here, all the records will be getting visible over here. Total 31 records will be getting visible on your debug log file. Clear? Understood the concept now? This is how we can fetch the data from your Salesforce object through SOQL query and we can represent them on debug log file. Okay? You want to write the code or can I share the document? You want to write this code or can I share the document? Okay. Clear? Now, this is the first way. In order to write the SOQL query, this is the first approach we are going to follow to write that query here. And then we can write the SOQL query, we can get the records, we can represent them on debug log file. Okay? Right. Hmm. Now, in this case, let's see. Even though we are invoking this method, whenever am I invoking this method, then only it will be executing this piece of code. Then only it will be executing. Or else, if it is a dynamic SOQL query, we have to write one more line of code, database dot query method. We need to execute manually. But here we are not writing that. That means it is executing this functionality automatically by default here. Okay? Next. Second use case. Now here I will show you a different way, a different style of writing a SOQL query. Okay, how can we write this SOQL query? Now let me explain. Write an Apex program to fetch all the lead records from the object and represent on the debug log file. Write an Apex program to fetch all the lead records from the object and represent on the debug log file. Done with this? Now, let's see how can we write this one. Here also I'm writing the similar kind of functionality here. I'm going to be preparing a method. Public static void get all lead records. I'm giving the method name as get all lead records. I want to write this piece of code in order to get all the lead records here. Now let me write that piece of code, then we will see how to optimize the code. Okay, now tell me, how can we write this piece of code now? Similar fashion, just now we did for account. Then what we need to do, I'm preparing an SOQL query, ID of the lead, first name of the lead, last name, title, company, status, rating, industry, annual revenue, phone and the fax, and the email from lead object. Now tell me this query will return how many records? Only one or multiple? Multiple. If the query returns multiple records, how to store them? List collection. List of what? List of lead. Why lead? Because these records are lead records. Now, okay. Now, so now here we are going to be querying these records. I'm collecting the ID of the lead, first name, last name, title, company, status, rating, industry, annual revenue, phone and the fax, email from lead object. So whatever the lead records has been collected through this SOQL query, those records will store into my collection. Now, from here, I would like to represent the records. I would like to show the message here, how many records are available here. Don't write the code, madam. I would like to make some changes. Number of records returned. I would like to represent LST leads dot size. Okay, I'm representing the size of this collection, how many records returned by my query. Then I would like to check the condition here. If LST leads is not empty, I would like to iterate the collection. For each and every lead record from LST, whatever the lead records we have collected, I'm collecting this collection. From this collection, I'm collecting each and every lead record. I'm storing the record value inside this LD record reference. From there, I'm representing this record values. Now, lead record ID is lead record.id. System.debug. Lead name is, I want to show both first name and the last name. lead record dot first name plus I'm giving a space lead record dot last name. I'm giving the first name and the last name of the lead record. System dot debug lead title. That means current designation. Lead record dot title. Now, current employer name. That means current company name. Lead record dot company. Lead status. Lead record status. Contact number and the email ID. I'm giving a line break. Now, I have prepared this code. So now we have this method get all lead records. Now which will be preparing an SOQL query. Query will be getting executed. It will collect the records. Those records will be storing inside my list collection. So once the records has been placed inside the list collection, now I'm going to be representing the collection size to indicate how many records returned by my SOQL query. Then I'm checking this collection whether the collection is empty or not. If it is not empty, that means collection is having some records. Then I'm iterating the collection by using this enhancer for loop. I'm collecting each lead record from this collection. I'm representing this record. Okay. Now tell me in this case, do we have any chance to reduce this number of lines of code? If yes, how? Any chance to reduce the number of lines of code?
Yes, sir.
How?
For loop.
Don't know. What we need to do for loop?
Uh,
Fields? Hmm. Only headings. Okay. Hmm. This. Hmm. Line number what? Any chance to optimize this code? Okay. You want to show the complete record in one line. Okay, fine. That is one way. Instead of displaying each and every field value in a separate line, we can show the complete record within one row. If you want to show the complete record in one row, simply we can able to see system.debug LD record. That's it. Now this whole record will be visible in one row itself here by separating a comma. That is one way. Okay. Any more thing to optimize? No. No chance to optimize this code. We are using nested loop only. Now, let me explain here. So now, here as of now, what we are doing, we are preparing this SOQL query. This is the query we have prepared. This query we are going to be executing here. Now the results we are storing inside my list collection. We are storing this results inside my list collection. Now, based on that list collection, I'm going to be representing the records. I'm passing this list collection to for loop. So for loop will be iterating this collection from starting to ending, collect each record, store each record details inside my LD record reference variable. From there we can print. Okay. Now tell me, instead of using this list collection, can we write this SOQL query in this for loop here? Can I substitute? If I'm writing this SOQL query in this particular for loop, then we no need to use this collection. If I'm not using the collection, then memory will not be occupied. If the memory is not occupied, then we can save the memory. With less memory, we can implement more functionality so that we can improve the application performance also. Can we do like that? Everything, the complete SOQL query, just I will copy, I will paste inside this. Inside this. In that LST leads place. In this LST leads place, I would like to substitute that complete SOQL query, including square braces also. Can I write like that? Hmm. Right, then. Hmm. Can I substitute that? Yes. Because here what we are doing here, we are passing collection. Instead of collection, I'm passing the query itself here. That's it. Okay, boss, I'm not storing any collection over here. So now, whatever the query that I'm going to execute, I'm substituting the query itself. Execute the query by your own, collect the record, print on the debug log file. Now, in this case here, right now we are passing in the form of collection. But now I don't want to pass that collection. I will substitute this entire SOQL query. Right. Now, in this case, what I'm doing here, instead of writing this SOQL query separately, I'm writing this SOQL query inside the for loop itself. Now, you can raise a question. Sir, on the previous session, during that SOQL queries best practices, you said that don't write SOQL queries inside the for loop. Now, I told you to write that SOQL query not in the for loop. That means this is a place. Don't write the SOQL query in this place. In the for loop definition, we can write. In the definition, we can write that query. But inside the for loop block, don't write that SOQL query. Now, in this case, if I'm writing the SOQL query like this, then this whole code we can eliminate. We can eliminate this entire code. That's it. Simple. Hmm. That's it. Let me explain. Now, in this case here, what will happen is whenever we are invoking this method, then it will try to execute the first line of the code. Upon executing this first line, this is what a for loop. Now, in this for loop, what we have to pass the collection name where exactly data is available here. But we are not passing the collection, we are passing the whole query itself. Instead of passing the list collection, we are passing that whole query. Then what Salesforce will do is, whatever the query we have prepared, it will execute this entire SOQL query first. Okay, it will execute that entire SOQL query. Now let's see. So whatever the query we have specified, this SOQL query will be executed. Now this query will be executing over here. Suppose query returns some 5 records. Assume that. Record 1, record 2, record 3, record 4, record 5. These records will be placing inside the temporary memory here. Whatever the records has been returned, Those records will be storing inside temporary memory. Once the records has been placed in the temporary memory, then it will collect each and every record. It will collect the first record, store into the reference variable here. Because this each record is of type what? What record it is? Lead record. So this is a lead record. To store the lead record, we are using LD record reference variable. So it will collect the first lead record, store into the variable, and then it will be printing that lead record details. Then it will collect the second lead record. It will store into the variable. It will print. It won't execute the SOQL query every time. If you are writing the query inside this block, then every time it will execute that query. But here I'm writing the SOQL query in the for loop definition so that it will execute only first time here. Once the query has been executed, collect the records, place into the temporary memory. From there, it will iterate the temporary memory records one by one, one by one, one by one. It will represent all the records. Clear? Understood the concept here? Now, this is the second way of writing a SOQL query. Now, here in this case, you can raise a question, sir. Previously, if I'm storing the records in the form of a collection, then I will know how many records query has returned by using collection dot size. But now, how do we know how many number of records returned by the SOQL query? In this case, we have to go to the debug log file. We can see that. Okay. Now, let me show you with practical. How can we see that results information? Let me show you. Now, I would like to invoke this method. I'm going to the debug log file. I'm executing this method. Now we can able to see the recorded details. Select the debug only. Now this is the first recorded details over here. This is the first lead record ID, lead name, first name and the last name, lead current designation, company name, lead status, contact number, email ID. Then second lead recorded details, third lead record, fourth lead record, like that all the lead records information we can see. If you want to know how many lead records it has returned, then just we can unselect the debug only checkbox. When you come down to the debug log file at the last of the debug log file, here we can see that information. At the last of the debug log file, we can see that information. Now tell me, number of SOQL queries we have used. How many SOQL queries we have used? One. What is the governor limit given by Salesforce? How many you can use per transaction? 100. It is indicating 1 out of 100. Each SOQL query returns how many records here maximum? 50,000. How many records my query has returned over here? 24. Now 24 out of 50,000. That means this query has returned, okay, 24 record. Now in this case, you can raise a question. Sir, instead of coming to the debug log file at the last, we are looking into this information. Do we have any chance to see this information through programming? Yes, there is a possibility. Whatever the governor limits information that we have, all this information has been stored in the form of a class that is called as limits class. System.limits class. Limits is a ready-made class which has been given by Salesforce, which contains all the governor limits information. Through that governor limits class also we can able to track. How? Let me show you. Inside that class we have some built-in methods are available. I would like to show that. Outside of this for loop, I am representing this message here. System.debug number of SOQL queries used. How to track this information? Now let's see. System dot limits dot get queries method. There is a built-in method called as get queries method. Now by using this get queries method, we can able to track how many number of SOQL queries we have used. Second one. System dot debug. Number of records returned. How many records this query has returned? I would like to represent. System dot limits dot get query rows. That means how many number of rows this query has written, we can able to collect with the help of this ready-made method, get query rows method. Okay? Now, these are the built-in classes here. Each of the limits is a built-in class. In that class, we are having some ready-made methods which will be returning how many SOQL queries we have used, how many records my query has written, everything we can track through program. Now let me execute my query now. Select the debug only. When you come to your debug log file, here at the last, we can able to see that information. See. See. How many number of SOQL queries we have used over here? Only one. Number of records written by my SOQL query is 24. So we can able to check those results inside your debug log file at the last also, or by using the true programming also by using limits class. Okay? Now, sorry? Right. No, not required. Because here we are not storing them directly here in the form of a collection. Okay, once we are collecting the records, it will store into the temporary memory. Why? Because if I am storing in the form of a list collection, then to store the records, it will be holding some memory. It is occupying some memory. So I want to save the memory. As a developer, it's our responsibility, consume less memory, execute more functionalities. That is more important here. So now that's what here, don't okay waste the memory here. Whenever the memory is really required, consume the memory and then we can able to store the records, we can represent them. Directly we can write this here. No. Account records, how can we store in the leads collection? Hmm. In this case, to collect this multiple lead records, we can use list collection also, no problem. It's your choice. But at that time, it is occupying some memory. To save the memory only, we are using this second approach here. Yes, right. Clear? Now, make a note of this code. This approach is very, very important. In so many places, we are using this. Empty, nothing. It won't show anything. If the records are available, then only it will be iterating, or else nothing. Temporary memory. Temporary memory.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Sir, the class name should be the same always, database helper, or we can give whatever we want, sir.
No, whatever you want. You can give anything.
Okay, we can give it as lead helper also, sir, right?
Yes, 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 yes.
Okay, okay. So thank you, sir.
Done with this? Now. Done with this? Now, let's see. So this is the second way of writing SOQL queries. Next, third way, one more different style. How to write this SOQL query? Now let me show you the third style with a practical. So now this time my requirement is I would like to interact with a custom object like hiring manager. Now what I want to do is whatever the hiring manager records that we have in my object, I want to collect all the records. I want to store them to a map collection. I want to store them to a map collection, and then I want to represent the records on my debug log file. Okay, got the point here? Now I want to collect all the hiring manager records from the hiring manager object. I want to store them to a map collection, not list to the map collection. Once the records has been stored in the form of map collection, collect the records represent onto the debug log file. Okay. Then how can we do that? Okay, now let's see. Make a note of this use case. Write an Apex program to fetch all the hiring manager records from the object and store them to a map collection. Represent the records on the debug log file. Whatever the records that we have, collect those records, represent them on the debug log file. Then how can we do this? Okay, now let's see with the practical use case. As of now, in both the scenarios, we are able to get the records, we are able to store them in the form of list. But now, this time, I would like to store these records in the form of map collection. You know that list collection structure, map collection structure, both are entirely different. List collection can hold the elements directly, but map collection will hold the elements in the form of key value pairs. Key should be always a unique, value can be unique or value may be duplicate also. Okay, now let's see how can we do that. I'm preparing a method. Public static void get all HR records. Get all HR records. Now, in this case here, what needs to be done? We need to collect that hiring manager records from the object, store them to a list collection first. Once the records are available inside the list, then copy those records into set map collection one by one, one by one, one by one. Okay, understood the concept here? Now, let's see. I'm writing this SOQL query. Select ID of the hiring manager, name, location name, comma designation, contact number, email address from hiring manager. Now which will be returning the results in the form of list collection. Now list of what? Hiring manager. LST HR records. Now I'm preparing an SOQL query. So there is an issue in my query. What is the problem? No such column location name, only location. Now, so now this is the query. Once the query has been getting executed, it will collect all the hiring manager records. Those records will be storing inside my list collection. Once the records are available inside this list collection here, now I would like to check if the collection is empty or not. LST HR records is not empty. That means if the collection is not empty, that means there are some hiring manager records available inside this collection. Then what needs to be done? I want to copy all these hiring manager records in the form of map collection here. From list to map, how to copy? Directly we can't copy here. We can copy the elements from array to list to list, set to list. Or else you can copy the elements from array to set, list to set, set to set. But whenever we are copying the elements into the map collection, always we can copy the elements from map to map only here. Not from list to map, not from set to map, not from array to map. Because arrays, list, and set, those are a separate type, map is a separate type. Now, in this case here, we need to store that map collection. So let me prepare a map collection here. To store this hiring manager record details, I would like to create a map. Now tell me how to define the map collection. Map of key and value. Key is what? ID. Record ID will be the key. Value is what? Complete record. That means hiring manager. That's it. Now I'm indicating map HR records equals to new map of ID comma hiring manager. I'm preparing a map collection. This is an empty map collection. Nothing is available inside that here. It's an empty map collection here. Just now we have prepared to copy these elements. Now what I need to do, I would like to collect each and every element. I would like to copy this element into my map collection. How can we do that? We need to use a for loop. Now I'm iterating this for loop here. For each and every hiring manager record, HR record from LST HR records. So whatever the collection that we have in which the records are available, I'm collecting this collection, I'm iterating the collection, I'm getting each and every record. Once each record has been collected, we need to add the record to my map collection. How to add an element to the map collection? What is the method? Put method. Only one element we are adding, not multiple. See, this is a for loop. This is the collection. All the elements I'm not adding at a time because list collection structure is different, map collection structure is different. So that collect each and every record, add the record to the map collection. How? In this map collection, we have to pass ID. What ID? Hiring manager record ID. How to collect the ID? HR record dot ID. Now the value will be what? Complete HR record. That means HR record. That's it. Okay. Sorry. No. Now. So now here in this case, what we are doing, whatever the hiring manager records are available inside my object, we are collecting all these records from the hiring manager object. Those records we are storing in the form of a list collection. Once the records has been placed in the list collection, if the collection is not empty, if the records are available, I would like to copy to my map collection. So that we have prepared an empty map collection over here. Now the empty map is available. Now it is the time to copy the elements from list to map. So that we are going to be iterating this list collection, collecting each and every record, and that record we are adding to my map collection by using put method, by passing this record ID as a key and the complete record as a value. Clear? Understood the concept here? This is how we can do. But this is looking like as a bit lengthy mechanism. I will show you one shortcut mechanism which we can do the whole functionality by using one line. Within one line, we can do this all this functionality by using shortcut mechanism. How to do that? Okay, now let me show you. I'm not removing this code. I will be placing this code inside the commented lines. I'm commenting this code because for your reference. Because in real time, in so many places, we are converting that okay list into map. Converting map to list is very simple. Okay, but converting list to map is a bit typical. We have to follow this process over here. Okay, now suppose now this is a map collection. In this map, all the hiring manager records are available. I want to convert into list collection. What we can do? Simply we can use the map collection name dot values. That means what it will return? All the records available inside my map collection in the form of what? List. That's it, simple. By using that values method, it will convert this map into list collection. But list to map conversion is bit typical. That's what here we have to iterate that collection. We need to copy each element separately here. Now, so now in order to do this operation, I would like to go with a shortcut mechanism. I don't want to go with the lengthy mechanism because in so many places in the real time, we need this mechanism. That's what I have given this information to you. Now, now why requirement is what? I want to collect all the hiring manager records. I want to store them in the form of a map collection. To store those hiring manager records, we need a map collection, right? Yes. I'm defining a map collection. Map of ID, comma, hiring manager. New map of ID, comma, hiring manager. So now here I'm creating a map collection which can store a collection of hiring manager records. But it's an empty collection here. What records you would like to place inside that? All the hiring manager records. How to collect the hiring manager records? By using SOQL query. Just you can copy this SOQL query, place inside that map collection class constructor. Inside this braces, okay, just you can paste this here. That's it. Over. The previous entire code and this code, single line of code, both are same. Now, this entire code and this a single line of code, both are same. That is a lengthy mechanism. There is a shortcut mechanism here. Okay, understood the concept now? Now, so now here in this case, what will happen? Whenever I'm writing this SOQL query in the map collection class constructor, then first of all, it will be executing this SOQL query. Whatever the records are available over here, collect all the records, place into the temporary memory. First HR record, second record, third record, fourth record, like that all the records it is placing into the temporary memory. Once the records has been placed in the temporary memory, it will collect each and every record, it will be adding to the map collection automatically by using put method. So where hiring manager record ID will be storing in the keys place, the complete record will be storing in the values place automatically by Salesforce. Okay, so whatever the code previously we have written, that whole code will be preparing by Salesforce internally by default for you. Okay. Hmm. Now, whenever we are creating the object of the class, the last part is called as constructor. Now, This last part is called as the default constructor, which will be initializing some default value here. Generally, what will happen upon creating the object, it will be assigning the default value as null for each and every member. Later we can assign. But in this case, what I want to do, I want to assign some predefined values. So that I'm writing a SOQL query. What it will do, instead of making this map collection empty, it will collect these records from by using a SOQL query. Those records it will store into the map collection automatically for you here. Okay. Now I would like to represent the records. The remaining story same. System.debug number of records returned. Map HR records dot size. Now here I'm representing this number of records returned by my SOQL query. Then I would like to represent the records here. If the collection is not empty, map HR records is not empty. That means if the collection is not empty, then I would like to collect each and every record. So now here what you want to print, hiring manager record. Hiring manager records are available at what place? At keys place or values place? Values place. How to collect all these values? Key set is a method for to get only keys. To get the values, what is the method? To get the values. To get the values. Hmm. Values method, right? Map HR record dot values. Now, because here to get only the keys, we are using key set method. To get only the values, we are using values method. So I'm going to be using this for loop. In this for loop, I'm using map HR records dot values. Now then what it will do, it will collect all the hiring manager records in the form of list collection. From this list, we can collect each and every hiring manager record. I'm collecting each and every hiring manager record I would like to represent. The whole record I would like to show at a time. Hiring manager record is, we can show that HR record. Like that. That's it. Simple. Okay. Now, so the complete hiring manager record I'm printing in one row over here. This is a piece of code. That means what we did in the first case, we are writing SOQL queries separately over here. It's a general approach. In the second way, we have written the SOQL queries inside the for loop over here. In the third situation here, we have written SOQL queries inside map collection constructor here. Inside the map collection class, we have uses. Clear? Now, these are the three different styles are available upon writing your SOQL query in the real-time implementations. Now let me execute this piece of code. Click on execute. Select the debug only. Now it is indicating number of records returned is 16 records. These are the records. The first record details over here. Hiring manager ID, name value, location, designation, and then contact number, email ID. This is the second record over here. Third record, fourth record, fifth record, like the total 16 records are available. We can see this is 16 records over here. Clear? Understood the concept now? Will you able to write some code? Yes or no? Nobody is responding. Okay. Now, make a note of few assignments over here. First one, write an Apex program to fetch all the case records from the object and represent on the debug log file. Second one, write an Apex program to fetch all the opportunity records from the object and store them to a map collection and represent the records on the debug log file. These are the two use cases. Done with this? Now. So do the practice on these features today, and then tomorrow we'll see how to apply the classes. As of now, we know how to write the SOQL query, how to fetch the data. How to apply these conditions, okay, we'll see each and every class one by one in tomorrow's session. Okay? Thank you.